So one of the many things that I love about the Christmas story is that it's a story full of surprises. It's a story of unexpected twists and turns. And I think one of the things that we need to pay attention to every year, but tonight especially, is the wonderful and simple idea that this story is full of things we wouldn't expect. This is a story about a young woman and a young man who have a baby in a barn. It's a story about a young man and a young woman who have traveled a great distance to be registered because the emperor told them to. And it's a story about a little town of Bethlehem, a little town on a hillside. Now, one of the great things that I learned about Bethlehem itself is that it's a town full of surprises. I've been privileged enough to go to Bethlehem twice now, and both times there have been things that just absolutely catch me off guard. First of all, when you pull into town, you go through a checkpoint, and you arrive into a little town that's not so little anymore. Big, tall buildings, hotels, all sorts of commerce all over the place. And then there in the middle of this little community that's not so little anymore is a church. The Church of the Nativity. And it is the oldest church in all of Christianity. It was founded by Constantine's mama. And it is this hodgepodge of buildings that are kind of stuck together all over the place. But the main entrance, the entrance that you go through to enter, is about 4.5 feet tall. So you have to stoop and humble yourself and crawl to enter the place where we remember that Jesus was born. And there's candles, and there's incense, and there's icons, and there's altars, and there's marble, and there's tapestries, and it's gorgeous and wonderful. But the place where we remember the manger is down a flight of steps, almost like you're going to the basement. And when you walk in, it hits you. This is a place where millions of faithful people have come to pray. Millions of faithful people just like me and you have come to pray. They gather there in Bethlehem to remember and to celebrate the surprising birth of this child, this wonderful counselor, this Prince of Peace, this King of Kings. But you know, for me, of those times that I've spent in the Church of the Nativity, of those times when I've spent praying there at the site of the manger, aren't the only places where I've remembered how important this story is. Bethlehem's a town, and any good town has a coffee shop. Bethlehem was special. It has the Stars and Bucks. No trademark infringement there. And I walked in because of the name, and I had to see what a Palestinian coffee shop would look like. And I wondered, what will I find here? And guess what? A coffee shop. Not all that different than any of the ones we have here. There were people coming and going, enjoying their hot coffee, talking with friends and families. But the part that moved me was when a young mother came in with her baby. And all the aunties and uncles and cousins and the people of the community oohed and awed over this baby. And they fawned and fussed and loved on this precious newborn. You see, it was in that moment that I remembered how powerful the story of the Nativity is for all of us. Because it's a reminder that love is universal. The women and the men who fawned and fussed over that child did so in Arabic. I didn't understand a word, but cute translates. And love knows all language. The birth of Jesus and the story of God coming into our lives in this manner is a reminder of the power that God has given us to be partners in creation and partners in making the reality of God's world real, of making love known to everyone we come in contact with, of sharing our faith by living out our faith, by seeing the world through the eyes of one who looks upon a child. When God, in God's infinite wisdom, came into the world through the vulnerability and weakness of a baby, He did so knowing that it would empower us to love the world like the faithful people we are called to be. The power of this Christmas story is that it reminds us that the child in the manger has something in common with the child in the mirror. That you and I are called to exhibit and radiate love. So much so that it surprises and shocks the world. That our agency, our ambassadorness of the kingdom of heaven is rooted in one action: loving the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind, while loving our neighbor as ourselves. We are called to remember, and we are called to celebrate that God was born this night so that we might remember, feel, experience, and put into action love that is stronger than death. Love that is made real through a mother and her child. Love that is made real through a father and a son. Love that is made real through every act of forgiveness, hope, and peace that we can muster. Together, we celebrate the miracle of Christmas. That love came down and became one of us. Amen.